Hello gang. How are you? I'm back. अभी तक कंटेस्ट की रेटिंग आई नहीं है तो दिखता है साला कहा हो गया बट जो है वो है तो कब आएगी कुछ मिलता है क्या 774 से नो कुछ नहीं मिलता टॉप 10 पे ही कुछ गारंटीड है बैकपैक no I mean they're pretty useless in the only fair bottle I need this या फिर this टॉप 3 में तो मैं नहीं आ सकता सॉरी राइट टॉप टॉप 500 में तो आ चुका हूँ मैं वैसे राइट टॉप 10 तो बहुत मुश्किल है आई हैव टू फिश फॉर दीज रैंक्स दिस इज प्रीटी मच फकिंग इनसेन ओनली मेरी एक बार 1042 रैंक मेरी एक बार 1336 रैंक आई थी आई फकिंग रिमेंबर आई वाज सो पिस्ड लाइक कोई में से एक बंदा मुझे लगा तेज नहीं हो सकता है मेरे को एक्स्ट्रा कॉइन्स भी नहीं मिलते हैं तो कितने कॉइन्स हैं इसमें मेरे पास आई फकिंग 3200 कुछ याद नहीं honestly this is the best thing that you can get but it's 12,000 का I'm not fucking waiting for 12,000 है ना इसलिए आई वुड बाय कैप लेकिन अभी मेरा आधा हुआ है लाइक 3 साल में मेरा आधा हुआ है it'll take me 3 more fucking years to get it done I really want a notebook as well though but cap is pretty cool as well शर्ट तो बेकार है I don't want the shit शर्ट बेकार है तो ये किट भी बेकार है this is fine but not worth like कि मैं ये ना लूँ 6500 पे वेट करूँ 9600 तक और ये लूँ I don't think so worth it अगर मैं कभी 10,000 पे पहुँचाया मुझे तो 2,000 में आई थिंक मेरे को डेली हर दिन के 10 मिलते हैं तो मेरे को 3500 और चाहिए राइट 3300 टेक्निकली 3300 डिवाइड बाय 10 तब 330 है तो मेरे को पता है पता नहीं क्यों हो रहा है 330 दैट मीन्स एक साल अगर मैं 3 ठीक बनाऊंगा तो मेरा होगा क्या सवाल है आज का फिर आई मीन श्योर 10 के फ्री के कॉइन्स ले लूँ ओके सो एमसीएम तो हो गया था अपना बढ़िया यप ओके आई डोंट नीड दिस एमसीएम मैं समझ गया आई मीन नॉर्मल डीपी ही है जो भी होता है बट दिस इज अ प्रीटी गुड क्वेश्चन ऑन अब ये वो समझने के बाद भी आई एम नॉट श्योर इसमें एक आइडिया आया था मेरे को हमारा एन क्या है राइट दैट इज व्हाट आई नीड टू नो इसको डेफिनेटली एन क्यूब में तो कर सकते हैं मेरी लेंथ 1 थोड़ी है मेरी नहीं तो सबसे पहले अगर मैं ये करता हूँ, और मैं ये तो गलती पता नहीं क्या भांग बोल रहा हूँ। We have our L, right? तो मेन पॉइंट है, ये कट करने के बाद तुम्हारी जो लेफ्ट साइड को लेंथ है, लेफ्ट साइड में लेंथ है, दैट इज नॉट, और जो डीपी में स्टोर है वो सेम नहीं होना। पहला कट क्या हो सकता है, राइट? हम्म। नहीं, ये ना ऐसा ज्यादा फर्दर क्वेश्चन। हमें ये भी समझ आ रहा था कि दोनों को कंबाइन कैसे करेंगे। लेट्स से क्या केस है अपना, 56142, राइट? ये मालूम, मैं फर्स्ट कट, राइट? ओके, मैं बोलता हूँ फिर आई से लेके जे तक, व्हाट इज योर फर्स्ट? जे माइनस आई। सो मेरा 9 क्या था इसमें? 9 was my fucking, n was my 9, right? Okay. The next thing is, अगर 5 से 6 कट करूँ मैं, तो 9 प्लस 5 से 9 क्या हो गया, 4। 9 प्लस 4 बचता है, मैं 5 पहले कट करूँगा, मैं 6 पहले कट करूँ तो 9 प्लस 6, 9 प्लस 4 13, if our cost is 13, right? आई से के तक का, 561 भी इंक्लूड करूँगा, आई डोंट नो व्हाई। एक तो ये जे माइनस आई क्यों आएगा, आई डोंट अंडरस्टैंड दिस थिंग। जे मान लो यहाँ पे, दैट दैट जस्ट गिव्स मी -3, what what I don't understand too much. ये कैसे? I don't think so इससे आंसर आएगा. Bro. है ना ratio it है. This is the most ratio shit I ever seen. Yeah, maybe not. साला भोसड़ी वाला. साला है तो बहन जो 30, तूने 30 घंटे दिए तो भाई तूने 1500 सवाल कैसे सॉल्व कर रहा है? Are you just fucking जून 16 ने करा नहीं है मैंने 2024 में करना. I don't know. Hmm. Anyways,
minimum
that was
cost
an
to cut the
interesting
stick.
problem.
Now, what does the
How
problem
do you
state? The
get to
problem
the
state,
fucking
you'll be given a
ones?
cut saree and you'll be given
तो
a length of the stick.
कौन
Now,
से
what do
how
you
do you
mean by a length
fucking
of the
जो
stick?
भी समझ गया ना कुछ भी
This
बताओ
is
ना.
a stick of length 7. Now, we just write them down. This is how the stick looks like. Okay, this is a stick of exactly length 7. And this is first 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So a length of 6, 7. Now they're asking you to cut these at these portions. You can cut it at 1, you can cut it at 3, you can cut it at 4, you can cut it at 5. You can cut it as you wish. Okay, and you have to find me the minimum cost. Very important. You have to find me the minimal cost to cut the stick. Okay, now you can follow any order. So what is cost? Cost is the length of the stick you're cutting. Length of the stick you are cutting. Okay, so if I start by cutting at 1, if I start by cutting at 1, what is the initial length of the stick? If you just write down the length of the stick, it's 7. So if I decide to cut at 1, the initial length of the stick is 7. So I do a cut at 1. So when doing a cut at 1, I will have a stick of length 1, and I also have a stick of length 6. Okay, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Length 6. Now if I decide to cut the length 3, where is length 3? Where is length 3? Length 3 is here, which is saying this.
Yep.
So what is the length of this stick? Because this stick is no more connected to this.
Sure.
What's the length of the stick? 6. So you'll require a cost of 6 now. And you decide to cut it here at 3. So now you will have a stick of length 1, a stick of length 2, and a stick of length, right, starting from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. A length 4 stick. So now I say cut it at length 4. Where is length 4? This is 4. So what's the length of this particular stick? 4. So the costing that you'll require is 4. Now I decide that I'm going to make a cut here. So if I decide to make a cut here, I will have 0, 1. I will have 1, 2, 3. I will have, rather, I will have 3 4 which is length 1, and I will have 5 6 7 which is somewhere around length 3. Perfect. So just write it properly. My bad. Let me write this properly. We will have 4 5 6 7. Yeah. So it will be of length 3. Next, I say cut it at 5. So if I'm cutting at 5, which is this, and the stick length is of 3. So I'll be requiring a cost of 3, and I'll cut it here. And I will have a stick of length 1. I will have a stick of length 3. I'll have a stick of length 1. I'll have a stick of length 1. And I'll have a stick of length 2. So this, when you cut at 5, was of length 3. So the total costing that you'll require is 7 plus 6, 13 plus 4, 17 plus 3 equal to 20. This is the costing you required if you went on by cutting it at 1, 3, 4, 5. The cost came out to be 20. The question states you have to minimize this 20. I don't want 20 because it's a lot. I want to minimize it. So the question states minimize the cost. Okay. So what we will do is we'll go across by minimizing it. So you can follow the cuts in any order. So in this case, if I cut it like 3, 5, 1, 4, like it was given to us as 1, 3, 4, 5, but I rearrange the cuts to say I'll first do a cut on 3, then I'll do a cut on 5, then I'll do a cut on 1, then I'll do a cut on 4. Okay. So okay, fine. So that means initially we had something like, let's quickly write this off. Initially we had a length 7. So just write this off. We had a length 7. Perfect. And the so if I'm making a cut at 3, which is this portion, if I'm making a cut at 3, which is this portion, it is initially of length 7. So 7 will be added. Now we will have a length 3, goes like 0, 1, 2, 3. We will also have a length 4, goes like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Perfect. Length 4. I'm saying cut at 5, which is, I'm saying cut it over here. So this stick is of length 4. So answer added will be, the cost added will be 4. So after this, we will again have this 0, 1, 2, 3, right? We will again have 3, 4, 5. We will again have 5, 6, 7. Perfect. So we have made sure that we have done the cut at 5. I'm saying cut it at 1. So if I'm cutting at 1, which is this is a length 3 stick. This is a length 3 stick which I'm cutting. So the costing will be this. So I'll be left out with 0, 1. I'll be left out with 1, 2, 3, which is of length 2. I'll be of 3, 4, 5, which is again of length 2. I'll be of 5, 6, 7, which is again of length 2. So the costing is 3. Next I'm saying cut it at 4. So if I'm cutting at 4, which is definitely this is a length 2 stick. It's length 2 stick. So the total cost that comes up is 7 plus 4, 11 plus 3, 14 plus 2, 16. So I got a lower cost. You can try out all orders, and you see if you follow the order of 3, 5, 1, 4, this is the lowest and founders of the startups. And how do you start approaching? Because you can either start with 1 as the cut, you can either start with 3 as the cut, you can either start with 5 as the cut. So you have a lot of options to start with. So can I treat this as a complete stuff? Can I treat this as 1, 3, 4, 5 as a complete stuff? I can. And then can I say, if I make a cut at 4, if I'm making a cut at 4 for sure, I can also start with 5. Or I can say I can also start with 3. So I know if I treat this as a partition, like if I treat this as an I and j, like an entire array, I can say I can either start with 1, I can either start with 3, I can either start with 4, I can either start with 5. So what if I start with 4? What if I start with 4? I know the initial length of the stick. I know the initial length of the stick is 7. So I'll add up 7 to the answer. How we will find this, we will get to know. But if I start with 4, for an example, I say I'll make the first cut at 4. Can I say if I'm making the first cut at 4, the answer that I'll add is 7 because that is the initial length of the stick. At least at the first step, the length will be the complete stick. So can I say now I'm solving only these cuts and only these cuts. I'm solving only these cuts. Have been separated. And why can you solve this subproblem independently? And why can you solve this subproblem independently? Because they're not connected. But if it's very important to have it sorted so that whenever you solve a problem, subproblem, they will not be dependent. You can just go over and see whether you want to make a cut at 4 or 5. You won't be dependent on this. You don't have to decide whether you want to make a cut at 1, 3, then 2, or at 1, 2, then 3. You will not be dependent. So it's very important that you make sure that the array is sorted. Okay, that is something which you have to do. Now, how do you find the length of the sticks? Very important. So let me just visualize it again. I'm having 1, 3, 4, 5. Okay, I know this is a partition that I'm solving. This is a partition that I'm solving. Okay, this is an entire partition that I'm looking to solve. I want to find how are these cards going to give me the minimal cost. I'll just put in a 0 and the length of the stick right at the left and right at the. I'll just put a 0 on the left and I'll just put the length of the stick on the right. Why do I do this? You'll understand. Imagine I'm making a cut at 4. I know I can make a cut at 3 or at 5 or at 1 anyway. Imagine I'm making a cut at 4. But what is the cost? The cost is the length of that stick. In which 4 is. The cost is the length of that stick in which 4 is. That is for sure. How do I get the cost? I minus 1 cuts of j plus 1 rather, which is this j plus 1, minus cuts of I minus 1, which is this. 7 minus 0 is 7. This is the length of the stick.
Hold up. Okay, that is true. अगर मैं 20 पर एक बार कट होने के बाद जैसे मेरा J4 पे होता है, मैं 3 पे कट करूँ That's fucking true, man. That is true.
If I apply this formula, it'll give me the length of the stick. I will show you why in future. So we have understood that this is giving me the length of the stick. Now, if I'm taking this guy as the first cut, then I need to solve this guy. So imagine this is at index. I need to solve this portion, this subproblem, which is I to index minus 1. And I need to solve the right subproblem, which is index plus 1 from the right to the last. Because I did a partition on index, I solve it from I to index minus 1, this smaller partition, and index plus 1 to j, this partition. So I just took an cut and I'll be solving these couple. And since they are sorted, they're independent. And since they're independent, I can just solve them independently and add up the answer with the current answer, which is this. Now you might ask, how is this working? I'll show you after I write the code how is this exactly working. You'll get a clear cut idea. But before that, let's start writing the code. So
Okay, मैं शायद थोड़ा बहुत समझा. Let's see if I can recreate मैं क्या समझा. Okay. So let's sort insert ही होता था ना. I think so. Cut sort append and cut sort भी कर दो. Right. So ये पहले what about L? I always want to be able to do I minus 1 and that shit. इसको बाद में ही बनाएंगे. Right, I do this now. For I in range 1 से ही रह सकता है. What about L? L minus 1 मेरे को नहीं चाहिए. लेकिन क्या मेरा I राइट से लेफ्ट जाना चाहिए? Let me think. तो मैं क्या करूँगा? DPO I मेरा राइट साइड पे जाएगा एंड J मेरा लेफ्ट पे जाएगा या उल्टा करना है. So L minus 1 मेरा लास्ट है. I want L minus 2 से 1 तक only. Right, what about J? For J in range J I से रह सकता है एंड कहाँ पे जाएगा? L minus 1 तक, not including L minus 1 of course. Now can I say hey man, what can you do now? Just do one thing. अब तुम cuts कहाँ? अच्छा, let's do one thing. If I is equal to J, okay, ठीक है. तो तुम्हारी लेंथ क्या होगी स्टिक की? तुम्हारी स्टिक्स की लेंथ क्या होगी? टेल मी दैट. मेरे पास इतनी ही स्टिक है. मेरे को पूरे उसका चाहिए, राइट? तो अगर मेरे को पूरे उसका चाहिए, that's going to be nothing but cuts of J minus J plus 1 minus cuts of I plus I minus 1. And then we can continue. अगर लेंथ 2 है या फिर ये छोड़ो, या फिर आई कैन से राइज फॉर के इन रेंज। पहला कट तुम आई पे मार सकते हो, आई अकेला हो सकता है। राइट, आई कैन भी अकेला, वरना तुम कहाँ पे कट मार सकते हो, जे पे। जे पे नहीं मार सकते, जे पे मारोगे या फिर जे पे। आई थिंक जे भी मार सकते हो या नहीं। मैं बोलता हूँ 5 6 7 पे है, राइट, आई एन जी। तो कट एक 5 पे भी लास्ट, 5 पे कट मार दो, 6 पे कट मार दो, 10 पे कट मार दो, किसी भी कट मारो है। या ठीक है। तो डी पी ऑफ आई ऑफ जे इज इक्वल टू मिनिमम ऑफ डी पी ऑफ आई ऑफ जे। या तो ये हो, या तो जो पहले था, या फिर एक और या फिर डी पी ऑफ आई से लेके के तक प्लस डी पी ऑफ आई से के तक, के से लेके जे तक। एंड जो इनिशियल कट था मेरा, वो कितना लगेगा, वो लगेगा नथिंग बट, वो लगेगा अपना कट्स ऑफ जे प्लस वन माइनस कट्स ऑफ आई माइनस वन, राइट, ऐसा कुछ। एंड देन कैन आई जस्ट रिटर्न डी पी ऑफ 1 से लेके एल, एल माइनस वन तक। रॉन्ग आंसर। इसका मतलब समझ रहे हो क्या? एल माइनस वन क्यों नहीं हो सकता? बस क्या सोचा था मैंने, एल माइनस टू। तो इन सब पे मेरे को भी कट्स करने हैं, right? तो अभी मैं कितने कट्स कंसिडर कर रहा हूँ? अच्छा, लास्ट वाला तो एल माइनस वन तो वो है, राइट। ये भी एल माइनस टू होगा, एल माइनस वन तो अपना लास्ट है। बट स्टिल नल दो। तो जो एल माइनस वन है वो तो अपना कट है नहीं, वो तो मैंने डाला है, तो ये है बदलने से। तो एल माइनस, तो यहाँ पे मैं एल माइनस वन तक क्यों जा रहा हूँ? अच्छा, नॉट इंक्लूडिंग एल माइनस वन है ना वो तो। ठीक है ये तो। और रो इन डीपी प्रिंट करो। अरे मैं डीपी का माँ बहन क्या हो गया ऐसा? 16। के, राइट, के मेरा आई से बड़ा होगा। के मेरा आई से उससे बड़ा होगा, ये तो गलत थी। आई डोंट नो व्हाट आई एम डूइंग। व्हाट इज योर फर्स्ट कट? ये के है, के इंडेक्स का। तो जो पहले था या तो वो रखो, या फिर आई से के तक एंड देन के से जे तक। लेकिन के वाला कट तो मैं कर चुका हूँ ना ऐसे। के वाला कट तो मैं कर चुका हूँ। तो लेट्स से मेरे पे 5 6 7 वाले कट थे। मैंने बोला तुम 6 कट तुमने कर लिया। अब क्या बचा? के माइनस 1 तक, के+1 से जितने कट थे। ओके। आई डोंट नो। सबसे पहली बात, ये इन्फिनिटी कैसे? अच्छा, लास्ट वाला तो इन्फिनिटी होगा क्योंकि वो जे तो क्या है, 8 है। तो 3 और ये तो नहीं होना चाहिए इन्फिनिटी। तो मेरा है 0 1 3 0 1 3 4 5 7। Okay. And then I am at I is equal to 0 1 2 3, comma j is equal to 0 1 2 3 4, 0 1 2 3 4 5, 4 से 5। इसका कॉस्ट पूछा है ना। तो अगर मैं यहाँ आया, मैंने क्या बोला, के को पहला कट क्या हो, मान लो 4 है, सॉरी मान लो 3 है, आई 3 है ना, 3 है पहला कट मान लिया। तो मैंने क्या बोला, किसका कॉस्ट डालो, 3 के लेफ्ट साइड का कॉस्ट, वो क्या है? अब ये 3 से 2 आ गया ना। के इज वॉट? माई के इज नथिंग बट ये ये दे रहा है। अगर 3 पे मैं कट करूँ तो उसके लेफ्ट साइड पे जाएगा वो, IN k-1 करेगा, राइट। तो IN k-1 करने की वजह से क्या होगा, वो DP(3:2) देखेगा, जो कि पॉसिबल ही नहीं है। if j is less than I. dp of I of j is equal to 0 and then if I continue now, let's see अब क्या होता है. अच्छा उसके तो मैं लूप ही नहीं लगा रहा. अगर मैं इसको 0 से करूँ 17 आ रहा है. 4 और 5 का आंसर 7 है क्या? I don't know. I don't fucking know. I don't know what to do. I got थोड़ा idea, but definitely not पूरा idea. We are going back to the video.
You've understood that it's going to be a partition like 1, 3, 5. So you can just return a 0. The cost will be 0 if there is no partition to be solved. I know one thing for sure. I can take any one
मतलब
from
ये
I to
तो
j.
वो कर रहा है
And
right?
when I'm taking any one, the costing that I'll incur is cuts of j plus 1. I've already showed you why, and I'll prove it again. This is the cost if I cut it at that index. And I have to solve the left guy, which is I of index minus 1. I have to solve the right guy, which is index plus 1 comma j for sure. The left guy,
लिखा तो मैंने सही है. Hmm. Holy fuck, I don't know. ये दोनों सॉल्व होने चाहिए राइट? के मेरा पक्का जे से कम है राइट? तो जे तो सही लूप में चल रहा है एंड के पक्का मेरा आई से ज़्यादा है, सो आई भी सही लूप में चल रहा है. So what the hell is the fucking problem? I don't know. I don't really know. No. Ruin DP print road. So मेरा IBA, JBA, so how the fuck is it telling me the answer is infinity? Infinity. Let's do one thing. सबको 0 से इनिशलाइज कर दो, ठीक है? जब भी मैं यहाँ पे आऊँगा, before I do anything, DP of I of J को मैं infinity मान लेता हूँ, right? If I do this, what the fuck? यार ठीक तो कर ले, चूतिया है क्या? I don't fucking know, man. क्या IJ का भी सेम? ये I and K minus 1. K minus 1 कभी J हो सकता है? K की मेरी max value is J. Max value of my K is J. तो ये कभी भी J नहीं हो सकता. A plus 1 की minimum value is I plus 1. K minus 1 की max value is J minus 1. So I don't really know, man. अब गलती क्या है? I have to ask my dearest friend, my chat GBD. 1547. What is wrong for lead code? 1547. अच्छा, but I don't think so. मेरे को लेंस चाहिए. Or do I? तो ऐसा कब हो रहा है, right? So if I say foreign range, but is I thought it should have formed by then, right? Video देखूंगा. I don't know. I don't know. I want to see a video.
And the right guy is what I need to solve. Perfect. And since I need the minimal cost, probably I can keep it as int max. And I can just say 7, 8, and 12. The length as 9. Because this is the last portion where you made the cut, and this is the right last two. Remember, the C is the size of the C. So we know the function that will be called will be for the partition of 1 to C. dp of definitely C plus 1 cuts vector int C plus 1 of minus 1. Amazing. Now you can just take this dp and just copy paste this, and you can say and of dp, and over here you can say dp of ij equal to this, and right over here you can say dp of ij is not equal to -1. You can return dp of ij. Amazing. So over here just make sure you pass dp, over here pass dp, and now you can just run this. So if you run this should be running fine. Yeah, this is, and if I submit this, you'll see this is giving you an accepted answer. I hope it does.
Okay.
It does. It does. So what is the time complexity? Two changing variables of c+1 and c+1, c square and a for loop c cube. Yeah. Two changing parameters will yield to n square number of states. Step, you can just declaration is writing in opposite. So take it from 1 to n and then copy the recurrence as the last thing that you will do. So if you have followed the DP series entirely, you know this pattern. I've taught you how to make tabulation easy. So if you know this pattern, it's
इसने भी वही उल्टा चल रहा है जो मैं कर रहा हूँ, which should be correct, but the problem is
going to be a cakewalk stuff. Don't worry about that. So what I'll do is now I'll get back. Yeah, I'll get back to the code, and we'll keep everything the same. This will make this as 0. Yeah, the DP will be 0. And let's write the same thing. So no base case. So the changing parameters will be written in opposite. So please make sure you write it in opposite, which is
so
this.
DP 0
And then you write
which
int
is
j,
fine.
int j in opposite again, j lesser than equal to n and j plus plus. Perfect. You know the base case is this, which will be 0 always. So you can say this, we don't need to perform because already everything is assigned to 0. Copy every stuff over here. Copy the recurrence. I'll just copy paste the recurrence. See how easy it is. Let's copy pasted the recurrence. I remove the return. Over here, dp of index plus 1, j. So yeah, that's what the first thing I'll do. Over here, dp of I of index minus 1. dp of I of index minus 1 is what I'll do. Okay, perfect. So what I've done is I've taken the left and right, and I've taken this.
ठीक है, मैं भी ये कर रहा हूँ.
And this will be dp of 1c. dp of 1c. Now something very important to understand. Over here, if j is at the moment taking index minus 1, and if I is n, it's still taking I plus 1, index plus 1. Okay, so n plus 1 might go n plus 1 as index. So this will be c plus 2. Just make sure for safety, take it c plus 2, because index plus 1, when I is n, will tend to give you a runtime error. So if you've done this, try running this, and you will see that this is indeed giving you the correct answer. Oh, it did not. Why it did not? Let's quickly check why it is giving you a runtime error. Because I've taken the cuts. Okay, by the way, it will not be n. My bad. It will be from c, and it will be from c because n is basically the size of the cuts array. The size of the cuts array. So it will be very important that you take it till c. Okay, cool. Now it should be fine. Yeah, it is fine now. And if you submit this, it will give you the correct answer. Time complexity definitely n cube. Space complexity is definitely n square, where n is basically the cut.
उसने भी यही कर रहा है. What it did was initialize it with 0, which is fine, right? C तुम्हारा क्या है? C is before you do that, right? Okay, yep, it's definitely before. तो तुमने C plus 2 की array बनाई, मैंने L की array बनाई, that's fine. तो तुम पीछे से शुरू करते हो. C minus 1 last index है, you are gonna be like, nah. C minus 1 से मेरे को लेना नहीं, C दो मेरे को. मैं C से start करता हूँ. And मेरे को 1 तक चाहिए, which is same. अब J. I mean J1, जब तक वो I से छोटा है, I'm just gonna, मैं कंटिन्यू कर रहा हूँ, right? So I can start with I. And कब तक जा रहा है वो? C तक. ठीक है, equal. Which is right, C original था, so उसके इंडेक्स है, तो लास्ट इंडेक्स हो गया C minus 1 से C plus 1. C plus 1 is the last index, so वो C तक जा रहा है, right? मेरे में L minus 1 is the last index, मेरे को L minus 2 तक जाना है, तो ये भी सही है. फिर बाकी तो वो बस वो कर रहा है. I can just remove this. I can keep this as well. So ये 0 की जगह I can take minimum is equal to float of infinity. And ये हटाओ. मिनिमम को देखो, मिनिमम क्या है. dp of I से लेके k minus 1 plus जो भी तुम्हारा cost था, and then can I just say dp of I of j is equal to minimum, and answer will be C. So C is nothing but L minus 2 only. एटलीस्ट मेरे को आंसर तो आ रहा है. For row in dp print row, लेकिन लिखा तो हमने सेम टू सेम है. तो तुम्हारा जो इंडेक्स लूप कर रहा है आई से जे तक इंक्लूडिंग जे, मेरा भी आई से जे तक है. जे प्लस 1 माइनस या प्लस dp ऑफ आई से लेकर इंडेक्स माइनस 1 एंड इंडेक्स प्लस 1 से लेकर जे, सेम टू सेम तो लिखा है. 326. शॉर्ट भी कर रहा हूँ ना. या सॉर्टेड तो है ही. Why am I getting wrong answer? That is not there. Something else is. What? Oh, fuck. My bad. Yes, sir. Fucking kindly. Submit कर दो. But this is pretty fucking insane to think of, man. I can't think of fucking this. How to combine. That's not technically combination, but you get my point. Base case क्या होगा man? If I do initialize it as वो, the problem is मेरे base case का, right? So let's say मैं इसको 0 से करता हूँ. I can then say if I is greater than j, dp of I of j is nothing but 0, and then just continue. Otherwise we can use a loop. Otherwise you can use a loop to check. तुम्हारा k is आई से लेके k-1 तक। तो ये आई है ना, i-1 गलत दे देगा। ये j है, j+1 j वो भी 0 दे देगा। ओके, सो नाउ द प्रॉब्लम इज कि जिस आई में मैं लूप कर रहा हूँ, राइट, अब मेरा जे आई नो एटलीस्ट आई के बराबर तो है, so that's fine. I know J की वैल्यू जो है वो I से क्या हो सकती है, I से बड़ी छोटी, बड़ी या छोटी, बड़ी हो सकती है या छोटी हो सकती है। तो जो मेरा J is equal to fucking I, then J जो मेरा इंक्रीज होता है, फिर इंक्रीज होता है, तो k-1 तो पिछला पिछला तो हो रहा है ना सारा, बट I का जब I की वैल्यू मैंने बढ़ाई, तो ये पूछता हूँ मैं क्या है इसमें गलत। What was wrong here then? अच्छा, सो मैं अच्छा नहीं, प्लस तो मैं तभी वैलिडली कर रहा हूँ। कंटिन्यू बोल तो दिया मैंने। छूतिया हो गया, आई डोंट फकिंग नो नीड टू केयर। तो मेन प्रॉब्लम क्या थी, to think of the fucking this equation.
For sure. Is somewhere around 12. Imagine the length is somewhere around 12, and you are starting off by solving this portion of partition. Okay. So just for an example, imagine the first cut that you made was at 5. The first cut that you made was at 5. For that reason, the first cut that you made was at 3. So we're making a cut at 3. You know, the length is definitely, because this is I and this is J, the length is definitely 12 minus 0. So J plus 1 and I minus 1 for sure. That is for sure. But whenever you're making cut at 3, you are having a subproblem as 1, 2. This is your subproblem. And the right of it as the last cut was at 3 and this was 0. And this right subproblem will be 3, 5, 7, 8, and 12. And this will be the partition that you'll be solving. This will be the ij, and this will be the ij over here. Okay. Now, if you carefully observe, yes, if you carefully observe, if you're making a cut at 3, if you're making a cut at 3, you'll be of 0, 1, 2, 3. And the length will be 3. So again, if you carefully see, 3 because that was the last cut, and the last cut on the left was 0. So 3 minus 0 again gave you the length of the stick. Similarly, if you made a cut at 3, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. So we just write this 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 is the length. And if you again take 12 and 3, you get the length as 9. Because this is the
That is
last portion where
not
you
the
made the cut,
point,
and this is
but
the right last portion where the cut was. So 12 minus 3 will give you 9. Imagine. I take this 5, 7, 8, and I say, I will do a cut at 7. I'll do a cut at 7. So I will have a left
तो
guy
9
as
होगा, चलो बट ठीक है।
3.
I got the fucking point. So but जैसा क्वेश्चन जो मैं वापस अगर मेरे से पूछ लिया गया, एंड अगर मैंने रिवाइज नहीं करा था, आई विल नॉट बी एबल टू थिंक ऑफ इट। नो वे होजे, बट कोई नहीं। 73। Each balloon is painted with a number on it, represented by an arrow. You're asked to burst all the balloons. If you burst the ith balloon, you will get nums of I minus 1 into nums of I into nums of I plus 1. Okay. और अगर वो नहीं होते कहते हैं so we can just consider them as 1. So इसमें भी हम we can just insert 1 and add 1. That कभी I minus 1 and I उसकी दिक्कत ना आए. Let me just go nums dot insert r 0 comma 0 and we can say nums dot append 1. So यहाँ पे भी 1 डालना था. I'm sorry. And then we can go n is equal to len of 1. Okay. Three अच्छा. So these fucking dumbasses fucking एक फट गया. So they collapsed together. वरना क्या था सारे फोड़ दो सबको सेम ही स्कोर देके. राइट है ना. तो अगर मैं ये फोड़ता हूँ तो fuck इसका आंसर 10 कैसे. 5 1 and 1 5 पॉइंट्स. या पहले चलो 1. हाँ पहले 1 बच करो. 5 1 and 1 1. फिर 5 और बचा. अब now this is not so simple to burst which balloon. Now this shit is even fucking harder than 3 क्योंकि उसमें तुम एक काम करो तो तुम दो हाफ में डिवाइड कर सकते हो. If I burst 1 मेरे दो हाफ क्या हुए. 5 and 8 and 3. लेकिन अगर मैं 3 के राइट पे देखना चाहूँ that shit is already fucking burst हो चुका है वो तो है. वो तो burst हो चुका है मेरे भाई. Should I maybe सिर्फ एक burst करना है. सिर्फ एक burst करना है. सिर्फ एक burst करना है. Right, you can find that. दो burst करने में The thing is, it is not necessary कि हमको आई से लेके जे तक continuous bubbles burst करने हो. It's quite possible से मेरे को सिर्फ ये दो bubbles का बताओ. And if I say 0 से लेके यहाँ तक, that is, वो तो true ही नहीं होगा मेरा DP. So that just does not make any fucking sense what I can do. I'm gonna burst my head. What the fuck? What the fuck is he saying? Okay, मतलब अगर तुम मेरे से MCM करो, MCM is easy. But मैं तो, if you want कि मैं ये लेकिन how the fuck MCM कहाँ से आ गया इसमें? ये तो मतलब अगर तुमने मेरे को अब मेरे को पता है ये MCM का कुछ है, तभी मेरे को समझ में नहीं आ रहा MCM कैसे. A 3 5 is finally 3 5 it was bursting 5. With कौन है? फिर अटेंड ही नहीं करा. 50 रेटिंग गिर गई. मैं पहले से स्टार कर रहा हूँ so the fuck. At last. Okay. Okay, okay. Which balloon I should burst at last? मैं तो तुमने ये balloon लास्ट में करा तो ये पूरा at टूट गई, दोस्तों में टूट गई, प्रॉब्लम टूट गई into fucking password this fuck man, I'm not smart enough to fucking recognize 5 मिनट का ब्रेक ले रहा हूँ, मेरा दिमाग खराब हो गया, 5 मिनट में आया। Okay, I'm back. Hi guys. Brah. Okay, so first of all, very easy. Ooh. Fuck me. Let's say we can say for n हो गया ना dp is equal to, तो क्या मेरे को ये इंसर्ट करने की जरूरत है? I don't think so. Uh, should I insert or no? क्या कर देते हैं? Insert doesn't matter. Right, and now we can say let the cost be nothing. I have to maximize it, right? Let the cost be 0. 0 into n for dash in the range, and right, let this without dp. Then we can say if dp, right? Now if I do a loop for I in range, I have to move backwards, right? So n minus 1, हमें नहीं चाहिए. You have to start from n minus 2 and 1 तक ही जाना है. For j in range, you can start from the I up till n minus 1 तक, right? Base case तो पहले से ही है, so we could just do a k. I से लेके j plus 1 तक, right? जैसे this is the last balloon I popped. अगर मान लो I and j सेम है, तो k I के लिए रुक रहा है, the last balloon I popped. एक लेफ्ट जाएगा 0 मिलेगा, राइट जाएगा 0 मिलेगा. You can say dp of I of j is equal to max of dp of I of j, comma dp of I से लेके k minus 1 plus dp of k plus 1 से लेके j तक plus, and this is the last one, right? This is the last, so nums of k. ये मेरा last balloon था. And now we can just retain dp of पहला balloon is I, last balloon is n minus 1. Will this work? Never fucking mind. What is wrong अब? अच्छा n minus 1 n minus 2. Okay, at least non-zero तो है. Okay, एक सिंगल केस का भी होगा. What about दो? तो कोई भी अगर वो लास्ट में कट रहा है लेकिन वो आंसर का बना है जब उसके लेफ्ट एंड राइट पर क्या हो। एंड नोड आई एम राइटिंग अभी हटा दूँ। ओके। जब ये एलिमेंट मेरा लास्ट है और रो एनडीपी लेट्स प्रिंट क्या होता है। राइट हमें दादी का सही 8 है ब्रो। कॉस्ट 8 सही है। लेट्स से 5 एंड 8 है। 13 इज करेक्ट। नहीं 13 इज नॉट करेक्ट। आंसर क्या होगा 8 इंटू 5। 8 एंड 5 का बेस्ट 8 एंड 5 में तो पर इसने सीधे 8 प्लस 5 कर दिया राइट कि 8 अलग से फोड़ो 5 अलग से फोड़ो बट दैट इज नॉट द थिंग दैट यू हैव टू डू। हमको क्या करना है। देन 5 एंड 8 है राइट। या लाइक तो पहले मान लो 5 तुम अलग से फोड़ लास्ट फोड़ते राइट उसके बाद मतलब तुम क्या राइट वाला फोड़ोगे। राइट वाले फोड़ने पे इंटू नम्स ऑफ के कहूँ क्या। एंड यहाँ पे भी इंटू नम्स ऑफ के। 8 के बाद 48 विच इज करेक्ट। मैंने 5 ले आया 5 इंटू 8 8 आ गया। 5 अकेले तो 5। 1/5 का 10 भी सही है। 1/5 8 का मैक्सिमम क्या हो सकता है? अगर मैं सबसे पहले 5 हटाऊँ, तो फिर अगर मैं 1 हटाऊँ तो मेरे को 5 मिल गया। 5 + 5 एक केस बना लेते हैं ना 1/5 8 का क्या। 1,5 सबमिट नहीं करना था मेरे को। $56 है राइट। तो मेरे में 88 क्यों आ रहा है? एटी एट, हाँ, क्योंकि मैं दोनों से मल्टीप्लाई कर रहा हूँ। ओके, तो इसमें क्या केसेस हो सकते हैं? या तो तुम ये केस बना लो, या फिर तुम बना लो इफ k-2 is greater than equal to 0, dp of phi of j is max of this shit only, right? k-1 की जगह k-2 करो, क्यों? k-2 तक निकालो, उसके बाद k-1 पॉप करो। That's the nums of k-1। No, I don't fucking know. At this point, I have no. जीरो जीरो कर लिया, 1 दोनों में डाल दिया। इज द सेम। लेंथ से स्टार्ट कर रहा है क्या? लेफ्ट इनटू राइट क्यों कर रहा है इसमें? So what he did was this into nums of I into nums of j. I mean ये भी गलत। I don't know the fuck। उससे भी कुछ नहीं होगा. Even if I do this. लेफ्ट तो वही है ना, whatever right. लेफ्ट +1 से राइट तक भी नहीं जा रहा. अच्छा. I don't really know. Not including ING. Okay. Even if I do gold rush, it is non-inclusive. I don't want to do. इसी इतने तरीके में. हो हो हो. These are fucking impossible questions, honestly. Okay, so if I want to do non-inclusive, answer minus 1 for j and ring, I plus 1 से n तक. तो पहला केस जिसमें कुछ हमको मिल सकता है, कम से कम एक एलिमेंट तो एक एलिमेंट तो उसे बोल रहा हूँ ना. अगर मैं n माइनस 1 कर दूँ, what is the last one to pop? प्लस i से लेके k तक, not including both. Yep, I think so. Plus tp of a से लेके j, not including both. कुछ ऐसा. fucking वक्त पता नहीं पहले मैंने क्या लिखा था. fucking shit worked, but I mean ये भी मैं खुद नहीं सोच पाया. Even after I fucking knew कि मेरे को last I have to consider कि ये last में pop हुआ. fucking hell. fucking hell man, I wanna see Striver ने कैसे करा. let's see Striver ने कैसे करा है. I'm pretty bad at these TPs. सबके तो आंसर देख देख के करना पड़ रहा है.
So before starting the video, I'd love to tell you that I'll be taking a session on career guidance, which will be an interactive session on this Saturday at 10 p.m.
Okay.
So you can check out the link in the description and make sure you enroll for it. On this session, I'll be sharing you a Google Meet link where you can join and ask your doubts to me personally. So guys, 5,8. Now I'm deciding that, hey, listen, let's burst out 5. So if we're bursting out the third element, so we can follow that order. But can we? Can we? So let's understand, can we or can we not, by taking a simple example. So pretty much that is the question. So how do you solve this question, or how do you approach this question? If I again write down the example, it was very straightforward. 3 1 5 8. So do you see a pattern to this question? Because is this somewhere related to the partition or the MCM question that we did? By the way, if you have not seen the MCM DP and the previous DP 50, I'll recommend you to watch both these, because if you're not watching those both couple of videos, you'll not understand this. Okay, so please go back and watch out the MCM video as well as the DP 50 and come back and watch this. Okay, so you have to follow an order, right? Like you can follow 3, then 1, then 5, then 8. You can follow an order like 1, then a 3, then a 5, then an 8. You can follow an order of 8, then a 1, then a 3, then a 5. So there can always be various set of orders, but you need to understand which will be the first you pick. So apparently this is the entire range of elements, right? Like 3, 1, 5, 8. Anyone among them can be the first. 3, 1, 5, 8. Anyone can be the first. Like you can burst out 3, you can burst out 1, you can burst out 5, you can burst out 8, you can burst out anyone. Okay, so can I say the range is this? Like if I take, this is the starting point, this is the ending point. In between them, including 3 and 8 or 1 or 5, anyone can be your first element. Make sense? So I can think it in the direction of MCM, because in the MCM, if you remember, there were matrices like A, B, C, D. Then we decided that we'll first take B and C, multiply. Then the resultant goes and gets multiplied with these couple of guys. That is what we did. So can I similarly say, if I consider this as an entire stuff, you decide which one is the first element. It can be 3, it can be 1, it can be 5, it can be 8. Then we start thinking of the second element. Then we start thinking of the third element. So we can follow that order. But can we? Can we? So let's understand, can we or can we not, by taking a simple example of B1, B2. Like I'm just not taking numbers. I'm randomly writing balloons. Okay. So it's like balloon 1 has this value, balloon 2 has this value, balloon 3 has this value, balloon 4 has this value, and so on. So imagine I say you, okay, hey listen, let's burst this guy out. That is B4. If I'm bursting B4, what is the value that I add up to the answer? Can I say B3 into B4 into B5 is the coins that I'll get? Like B4 himself, B3 on the left and B5 on the right. Is this the value that we will get? Definitely. So I will be left with this sub-portion to solve, right? So I will be left with a sub-portion of B2, B3. This is a sub-problem. I can call it as a sub-problem. This sub-problem has to be solved. And I'll also be left off with another sub-problem of B5, B6. So apparently, can I say this? Can I say this? What this? This is a value plus this sub-problem we solved plus this sub-problem we solved. Can I say this?
You cannot.
The answer to this is no, I cannot. I cannot say this. Like I cannot just burst B4 and then solve this individually and then solve this individually, add up this answer, add up this answer. Will that work? The answer to this is no. Why will that not work? Let's understand. So I'll just erase this. I hope you got it. If I burst B4 at first, what will happen? Why solving them independently will not work is the main concept of this problem. So why this problem and this problem cannot be solved independently is the main concept of this problem. If you understand that, you are pretty much through. So imagine if you're bursting out B4, it is over, right? And what is the state? Like if you imagine the state, what is the state? The state after this will be B1, B2, B3, B5, B6, right? So imagine, just imagine if you would have taken this as an individual subset, if you would have taken this as an individual sub problem and you would have bursted out B3. Apparently, right after this, right after B4, if you would have decided to burst out B3, who would have been the right guy of B3? B5. So can I say, even if I take this sub problem independently, this B3 depends, like B3 will be taking a dependency of B5, might. Or if I say, after B4, I decide to burst out B5, then also, like if I burst out B5, then right on the, if you're bursting dependence in should not, no, that will not work. Imagine after bursting B5, imagine after bursting B5, you had B1, B2, B3, and B6, and you decided to burst out B3. So this B3 was dependent not on b5, rather on b6. So depending on who is getting bursted, b3 might be dependent on b5, b3 might be dependent on b6. So you cannot individually solve these couple of problems. You need to understand. You cannot in last guy. After that, I'll say who is the and the opposite has a key point to notice is if I start from the front, if I start from the front, like we basically go across this. Like if I just take you over here, we first had one, then we had five, then we had three, then we had eight. So you cannot go in this direction. Instead of this, I will say, why can't I go in the opposite direction?
बिल्कुल.
We'll start thinking in the opposite direction, in the opposite. Like I will say, if there are four elements, who was the last guy? And the answer that I'll get is eight. And the answer that I'll get is eight. Then I'll say who's the second last guy. And if this is a problem, I get this is the second last guy. After that, I'll say who is the other guy. So it says five. After that, I'll ask who's the other guy. It'll say this. Let's realize. Let's take this example only and understand. Okay, 3158. So 3158. Okay, I say like eight is the last guy to be posted. Okay, so as of now, we had this entire range that has to be solved. That has to be solved. Now, to avoid complications, we know on the right of 8 there is no one. We know on the left of 3 there is no one. So what I'll do is just to avoid complications, I'll add a 1 and I'll remove this. And I'll also add a 1 over on the right and I'll remove this. But these are the numbers that I have to solve. Just to avoid complications, I added a 1. I added a 1 on the left and right. Okay. Now imagine this is the last guy to be solved. And initially this is the range that you're looking for. And I'm saying instead of now on this range deciding which is the first guy, I decide who is the last guy left. So if I decide who is the last guy left, can I say the cost will be 1 into 8 into 1 if 8 is the last guy. Just imagine if 8 is the last guy. Can I say the cost will be
Yes.
1 into 8 into 1, which is if this is the range, the left of the range, the right of the range, and the number itself. So I've decided 8 is the last guy. So this is the coin that will be added. I'm just going in the reverse way. Okay. Right before this, if 8 is the last guy to be bursted, right before this, if you remember, there was 3 and 8, or what was it? Let's go back and watch 3 and 8. Yeah. So 3 and 8 was the guy, and I decided to burst out 3. So if 3 and 8, realize if 3, 8, and 8 is remaining, that means you're bursted out 8, and you just have this much range. So I'll just erase out. You're going from the back, so you just have this much range. This has been bursted. Last. So now I'm saying you have a 3 that has to be bursted. You have a 3 that has to be bursted. So can I say for this 3, I definitely know, since I bursted out before 8, 8 will be the right guy to it. Because I'm going in the reverse direction. Just because 8 was here, in the next step I was able to burst 8. So I'm very much sure that 3 has a right guy 8 because 5's this is J. I know solve the sub problem from. I definitely know B1, B4 in the last step, probably, or it can be easily proved to you how this formula comes up. Again, I've given you why. Just the traces have proved that it is not dependent on 6 or probability here or
ये सारा
B
inclusive
to the
में
left
ही
is
रख रहा है,
dependent on the
right?
bottom instead of the front. Instead from the front, you need to solve it. Okay, 1 and 1. So these are 5 balloons. Definitely N will be or and you have to watch blogs for why. Just the trick is there, not on anyone over here. That is the proof. So I have easily proved you how this formula comes up.
Right. Okay, so even if I do this way, I don't know why I did not do it. पता नहीं क्या चलता है. वैसे मेरे को अपने काम के लिए ही चाहिए, तो n-2 से 0 तक जाएगा मे बी. For J in range what? J could be I as well, of course. And then n-1 तक. I have to go for K in the range. What is the last guy to pop? All these guys, right? dp of I of j and nothing but max of dp of I of j से लेके dp of I से k-1 तक plus dp of k+1 से लेके I तक plus this is the last guy to be popped, right? So nums of I minus I into nums of k into norms of j plus 1, right? And now can I just return dp of 1 silicon 1 is 2? Okay, I cannot. 63 पहले भी आया था या नहीं आया था? Including both, including both. No. Yes, I am. What can be the k? What can be the k? What can be the k? K can be nothing but k can be nothing but this is the last balloon to be popped. ये वैल्यू है. इसके लेफ्ट साइड पे क्या है? आई से लेके k माइनस 1. राइट साइड पे क्या है? k प्लस 1 से लेके आई. k प्लस 1 से लेके j. सभी गलत आ रहा है. Okay, this works. Yeah. This should work as well. Good shit. Okay. So मेरी just thinking is fucking weak. I did not think कि वो अकेला नहीं होगा. मल्टीप्लाई में वो by default 1 हो जाएगा. थोड़ा चूतिया हूँ ना मैं. Hopefully my fucking brain starts working soon. Let's hope. I have to evaluate this. It's like can I not use stack over here? Stack डालो एक के ऊपर एक डालते रहो. If I do something like false, comma, false and or true. That is a fucking invalid test case, of course. Okay, so I think so. So I don't know why मैं stack use नहीं कर सकता. Right, so can I not just do uh, I can say for I in range n is equal to len of expression n में जब तक stack है, right? So stack dot append I comma character in enumerate enumerate and stack dot append. Okay, if character is equal to comma, I don't care about commas. We can just skip it. Just continue, right? वरना stack में print कर दो character. If stack वगैरह जो character डाल रहा है, so this is a closing bracket. That means अब है असली चीज, right? Right. So we need the expression. Right. What are the booleans? जो भी है. Now while stack and stack of -1 is not equal to fucking starting वाला. मतलब ये तो हो गया, right? अगर closing आया है तो starting तो आया ही होगा. So I don't need to do this. I can just simply say ये, right? जब तक उसका negative is starting है मेरी. अगर मेरी starting है तो जैसे ही what I have to do is result dot append result means booleans dot append stack of stack dot pop, right? So जैसे ही मेरे को नेगेटिव आ गया वो आ गया, ओके, तो कर दो stack dot pop. Then operation is equal to stack dot pop वापस up, depending on what operation it is. If I say define evaluate not booleans क्या है, so hopefully एक ही हो. I can just return if booleans of 0 ओके आई कैन ऐसे कर दे, रिटर्न नॉट ऑफ booleans of 0, क्योंकि एक ही होगा. एंड बिफोर आई append, if character is equal to t stack dot append true, else character is equal to if stack dot append false, else you can just append जो भी character, I don't care. Right. अब अगली चीज़ है, हमारे पास ऑपरेशन है, राइट. आई कैन जस्ट गो stack if ऑपरेशन. ऑपरेशन क्या हो सकता है? अगर ये नॉट हुआ तो आई कैन जस्ट गो stack dot append evaluate not of my booleans, right. Okay, lovely. अच्छा, तो अगर ये कैरेक्टर ये था, फर्स्ट आई हैव टू डू stack dot pop, so that ये कैरेक्टर तो हटे, क्योंकि अपेंड तो कर चुका हूँ मैं. ठीक है. elif ऑपरेशन इज इक्वल टू, अगर एक एंड हुआ, then I can go simply this thing, evaluate and similarly if the operation was for an or, ऐसे तीन ही operations है, but I can just put this as else. I can go like that for all. So now we just need to make this functions. Finite evaluate and booleans. Okay. So initially क्या होगा अगर मैं true डालता हूँ? Should I keep that true? मेरे को ट्रू का रिटर्न करने का, सारे ट्रू है तो ये ट्रू करके भी हो जाएगा. लेकिन अगर एक भी फॉल्स हुआ तो फॉल्स हो जाएगा और मैं फॉल्स रिटर्न करूँगा. बट अगर मैं रिजल्ट फॉल्स करता और फिर बोलता सारे ट्रू मेरे को ट्रू देना, तो ट्रू भी सही है. सही है. फॉर बूलियन इन बूल्स, रिजल्ट में एंड कर दो, result is equal to result and boolean, and now we can return the result. ऐसे we can make a define evaluate or the list of booleans to give. Result cannot be false, तो अगर एक भी true होगा so I can just return, तो ये भी true हो जाएगा, we can return true. लेकिन सारे false है तो ये false रहेगा, we can return false. और boolean in bools, result is equal to result or the boolean, then we can return the result. Right. That's all we need. हमने स्टैक में वो भी अपेंड कर दिया, तो वैसा करते जाएंगे एंड देन वी कैन जस्ट रिटर्न. स्टैक में क्या बचा ये करते करते. ओके, आई फक्ड अप समथिंग. और पहले तो मेरे को आई तो चाहिए नहीं, सो वी कैन जस्ट गो सी इन एक्सप्रेशन, तो मेरे को एन भी नहीं चाहिए. looks to be working. And it fucking works. ये डीपी में क्यों दिया इसने? टू ट्रू, अच्छा एक क्वेश्चन अलग है. दिस इज डिफरेंट क्वेश्चन. ये तो स्टैक का सवाल है. आई एम श्योर इसमें मेरे को कुछ ना कुछ करके ट्रू लाना है. रिटर्न्स टू ट्रू. कितने तरीकों में? ये भी क्या ये तरीके ही पूछ रहा है या कर सकते हैं या नहीं कर सकते ये पूछ रहा है? इन हाउ मेनी वेज? या ये भी तो ये सवाल है ये एक्चुअल में. आई विल नॉट टिक दिस. आई विल नॉट कंसिडर इट एज डन. बट ओके. वैल्यूड बूलियन एक्सप्रेशन टू. ठीक है. ऑल्दो मेरे को थोड़े काम के लिए जाना होगा, सो वी विल बी बैक लेटर. यू गाइस बाद में. बाय बाय. बाय बाय.